Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. This is season 2 of the Open Door Policy. I am your host, as always, Sailor Boy Troy. Brendan is taking a back seat for the next little bit. He will definitely be back, but it's going to be me for the next little while. This season, I have a bunch of different guests lined up, and today was a special guest. I met this individual through some of our discussion groups, and they did see my videos on the 7 Fires Prophecy. So they wanted to come on and have a discussion. So I am excited to have this. This is Ira Morrisseau. He's from some of the tribes here in Canada, and he's here to share his insights. So Ira, welcome to the stage.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And thanks for coming on. You reached out to me, I'd say probably about a month or two ago, with the video on the 7 Fires Prophecy. I think I shared that in the Anishinaabe page, if I'm not mistaken, where we met. And it caught your attention. So please, sir, welcome to the stage and introduce yourself, and let's have some fun.
Thank you. Well, there's my name is Ira Morrisseau. I'm from the Pelican clan. My spirit name's Spotted Eagle Man. Colors are black, white, pink, and purple. Pelican clans, our role in clan society is to be cleaners of the water. So that's a little bit about who I am. I hail from Saugeen First Nation, which is, there's 2 Saugeen's in Canada, one here in Ontario and one in Manitoba by Winnipeg. I'm from close to Winnipeg in Manitoba. Just to get into it, you see, there was a lot of talk about like 7 Fire Prophecy, 7 Generation Prophecy. But this one Hopi prophecy I came across a long time ago stated that, the prophecy goes, if the white man ever returns to this land, I think they're talking about the Vikings when they encountered them, there will be 7 fires, and the 8th fire will be brightened forever. So what you're going through is a lot of change in the first 7 fires. And if you count a fire as a lifespan of 80 years or so, like a human lifespan, we're in the 7th fire right now, and there will be a lot of change. But as you can see, the 8th fire hasn't started yet. That'll be in around 2050 or so. And that'll be the final fire. It'll be bright forever. So, there's a lot of hope going along with that. But also, there's a Cree prophecy. And the Cree are from the plains area of Winnipeg. Manitoba is where they start. And it goes until the last tree is cut down, until the last river poisoned out, until the last fish is caught. Only then will the white man know that money can't be eaten. So, So you think about all this stuff, and like, it seems that we're headed in that direction, with environmental degradation being what it is, and like looking more at like the land as a money instead of as a being, a living being, and looking at it as money. We're coming close to the 8th fire, and you can see there's a lot of change, a lot of turmoil, and people are just coming to grips now with like the fact that, we won't have the same standard of living we once had. Like with all our pollution, and there's no way to control it other than just stop. People have tried other things and like looking to reverse this process, but there really is no other way. Like we've gone so long in 500 years or so, um, that yeah, it's come to a head. And so this is just like, even if like you haven't heard the prophecies, you heard about like what's happening to the environment, and like honestly, like people get really upset and want to defend it, but like like honestly, everybody kind of admits that pollution is like destroying the earth, and the earth can only take so much, before humans can't live anymore. So yeah, so this is just a remark about the times we're living in right now.
It's funny that you do say that, because I've felt the same way myself. All of these things are lining up. It almost seems day by day they're getting faster. And we had the councils go up to the United Nations on the behalf of the Six Nations in the 90s, and they're doing it again. And it's just it's a matter of like how do we do this properly with, and you've probably seen it in the last 6 years, on top of all the craziness that they've made everything, like they're making race a big issue again. Now, for me as a white man, like there's an attack on us pretty hard right now, and to even have these conversations and have people understand is going to be a lot of pushback. And just even when you use the prophecies themselves, which emphasize the only way that the world is going to change is if the red man and the white man come together. Everything else follows suit, but it puts the emphasis on our two races are the ones that are important for these prophecies to happen. So I guess the question is, how do we have these conversations without getting labeled bigots or whatever with people who, like, do we just go, here's the story, read it, and then get back to me? Or do we continue to have pushback again? You know what I mean? It's very sensitive.
Well, the thing is, like, but it's a very touchy subject, and it's very hard to bring up, is that only a few Native people follow the Great Spirit, right?
Right.
It has been this way for since the settlers came here in like 1700s. I don't know if it was due to the plague or if that's always been the way before smallpox and the diseases hit North America and South America. But yeah, like only a few of us follow the Great Spirit out of like out of everybody. So like, it just depends on who you're talking to, and like, you're going to get a lot of pushback. But these people don't really follow the Great Spirit. They're more into whatever vice or whatever they're into, and people don't want to bring it up because it talks bad about us, but that's the simple truth, right?
Well, and you're not the only one saying it either, right? Like, I'm happy to hear that, and I don't want to call it accountability by any means, but I'm happy to, when I have these conversations, to have very normal-minded people to have the discussions. Because, like, again, what you're saying is people are they've absorbed their afflictions over their common sense, and I heard the same thing when I was up in the Arctic, the same thing, right? From the Inuk as well, and it's very hard, especially with how colonization and the residential school system has really put a huge wedge between our two nations. And anywhere I've ever gone, I've always had to, and this is probably the penance that we have to carry, but I've had to gain the trust of almost every community I've worked in over and over again, right? And maybe that's the price we got to pay, but I think it is possible to come together. It's just a matter of being able to share things. And again, as even some of the Seven Fires says, like the elders won't will have either forgotten their stories or be afraid to share them. And we're at that precipice now where we need to start sharing these stories, because if what you're said is, if for the 8th fire to happen in 40 years or less than 40 years, 20 years or whatever it was, this is the pinnacle time to share these stories now, and to remind not only my people, but your people, of what we need to do to make this happen. Because all of these stories, like the Hopi included, like they're 3,000 kilometers away from us, and the story pretty much reads the same. So I do believe that now is the time. It even says in the 7 fires at the end that it's going to be the veterans, for some reason, that are going to be a key people to bring this knowledge forward and make the changes. But when I've gone to powwows down here and I've asked these stories, people don't even know them. So what do you think the best way to do it is? I mean, like I said, we've had people go to the United Nations Council, and you know as well as I do, that's just a dog and pony show. So but how do we do this from home? And they're putting the other wedge between us right now. They're with the whole taking back land stuff, that they're making a bigger deal. Like, you don't even have to get into that, but you see what I mean? There's driving wedges further and further that are going to make people turn away from what you and I are talking about, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like about the veterans and stuff. There's always been like a certain amount of respect and position of putting your life on the line to work. Yeah, like the shaman from my reserve, Mark Thompson, he's dead now. He passed away from a trucking accident. But what he used to do to put his life on line was he used to haul propane across the country. And yeah, so like he knew like if there was a problem or something, his truck could blow up, or so like there's always been a special respect and how would you say position when you put your life on the line to work. So I think that's a lot where it comes from too, or where we get because I'm familiar with that prophecy. Yeah, the Ojibwe, my tribe, it does have a 7 fire, 7 generation prophecy. I'm unfamiliar with that one, but there's many. Like we had a lot of faiths here in the Indian country. It's not just one faith. We never went to war over people who worship differently than we did, like here on Turtle Island or North and South America. So yeah, a lot of different faiths. Some people believe we're descended from buffalo. Some people believe we're descended from the stars. So you have a lot of different viewpoints and about exactly what is the meaning of all this. But yeah, but I think you can see like with just current events and like with the environment, and it's a worldwide thing. And yeah, but being coming with an open mind to things, where you're not like made up. Like so many times, like I've discussed things with people, and like they make up our own history, saying we must have had war and stuff like that. But no, like North and South America never had war. Neither did Africa before slavery, right? So it's like, yeah, like, but a lot of people are unwilling to accept that either because it makes them uncomfortable, in their view of things. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just letting you go. I thought you had.
Yeah, but as you can see, like, so yeah, war is not really a thing. We gave freely. Like if someone was sick, we took care of them. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that with the first people, I guess, because the 7 fires mentions. Some people say it's the white man. I have my ideas. It could be light skin, could have been mixed matched.
Yeah.
But all the indicators points towards whoever that person was or those people were. They were with friendship, first for a long time. That's what all of the prophecies say. Now the question is, who were they? Because that makes that is important, right? Because even you said you're Ojibwe, so your tribe would have been located very close to the Mandan people, which Lewis and Clark said were light-skinned people, right? So questions are, were these the people who were the remnant who stayed, or is this all just, or does it start at colonization? Like, a lot of people get confused with this, and you know what I mean? Like, even sometimes I get confused with it because I'm trying to find the timeline. I'm like, was this pre-1600s, or was this when the French settlers came and the French settlers were friends with them, and then the English came and then shit went nuts? Like, so we need to have that understanding for people to look into it and want to look into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I think it can be found, like, our susceptibility to diseases that the Europeans brought over, like that really devastated us. We lost 80% of our population in 5 years.
Yep.
So, like, it was like a major Holocaust. It was like something unreal. Like, it's beyond fathoming, because you go mad, and yeah. So we had like close to 100 million, and like, who knows what we had? We might have had farming villages. We could have had hunters, gatherers, and farming villages, just because we had fields and stuff that were completely empty by the time settlers got here, because of the plague, the diseases that came with colonization. And they didn't have to be direct contact. It was carried by animals. It was carried by wind.
It's like most diseases today. Like, everyone blames it on the smallpox blankets, and yes, granted, it could be partially, but we know how diseases work today. It wasn't all. I don't believe it was all nefarious chemical warfare. I think people got sick. I agree with you.
Biological warfare.
100%.
Yeah. Well, there was biological warfare but it wasn't for a while. It was after we all died off anyway. They took this, like, and I read one poem by someone who was asked why were they accepting smallpox blankets, when they knew it was going to kill them. But it was just an act of defiance and resistance, like, they didn't like what was happening, their land being taken, them being kicked off their land, the animals going away to do overhunting, overfishing. And yeah, so it's been all that. There wasn't a bright spot, and just losing all your people, and like 80% is a lot,
That's massive. That's massive. That was literally planned here for you.
It hasn't been seen before or since,
No.
And yeah, and that was, in such a short little time before any colonization could really start happening. It was more just when we were first introduced, yeah. And
so we could say the possible first start of the plague would have been
1492.
Would have been the people coming from, like, not just the conquistadors and the but it could have been just from people who were friendly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That makes the most sense, honestly, for it to be a friendly contact that really wiped out a lot of because you would have had to live with them for so long and spread it and all of these. I don't think it was just.
It came over on the boats, in the bilge water and stuff like that. When they throw out their toilet water and stuff, it'd come to the coast, and the fish would carry it. All the fish were poisoned, the animals, the birds, everything. And so that really hit hard. And like, we never recovered. It's something you can't recover from,
No.
Like, just in my generation, we were close to disappearing. There's only about 500,000 Native people left by the time I was born, 500,000 or so. And,
is that across all of North America?
Canada.
All of Canada, really?
Yeah. And so in my generation, we doubled our population. So it rests at about 1 million Native people in Canada right now. So a lot of excitement's been held over from that, that they're just proud we didn't disappear, and we managed to stabilize our population. But yeah, like people weren't sure in like my dad's generation if they were going to like be the last ones. Um, but
You're not you're not generation of the schools, are you?
no, that was my dad that went to a day school. There was a residential school built on my reserve, and I suppose they took people from all around. But because we lived on the reserve, and especially so close to the residential school, we lived like 5 minute walk away. So yeah, they were allowed to just go home at night and stuff, and didn't have to stay in the dormitories. But a lot of people did.
Yeah, I heard some of the similar things up in Iqaluit. Iqaluit, they only recently got rid of that, like early 90s. Like I couldn't believe how recent that it still was going on. And it's everything is so similar. But one thing I did find, and I don't know if it's maybe brainwashing, I don't know if I want to call it that or not, but the people up there who even survived that and their kids, they're so staunchly Christian now. Like I couldn't believe it. I was like, how do you believe that and not believe your old teachings? Like how do you believe a system that came here and just stripped you of it, and like you believe it, and they just do. Like they're like, I believe in Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, and I'm a Christian and I don't have that devoutness of Christianity that they do. And I wonder, how does that rectify with these prophecies as well? Like, is this the Great Spirit showing himself that he's the same person, or is this brainwashing, or you know what I mean? These are a lot of the questions that come up when we have these talks. And
Um, when people lose connection to the land and their way of life, they're really left with nothing because they don't know anything about that lifestyle, you know? So all our beliefs, our teachings, they couldn't relate. It's very hard to relate to it. Like, I'm one of the few I know who, like, through my life has followed the Great Spirit. Like, I'd be on my land, I'd be hanging out with the Sundance Chief, and very few people did that. Came across very few people who'd come visit and stuff like that. And I moved back to my reserve. I grew up in a Métis town, went to university, but I spent a lot of time visiting the reserve, going to Sundance, which is one of our ceremonies. Also, but I found very few people, especially young people, that came out and would do something. Um, and very little talk, very little anything, because it's so far removed from the land. People don't know how to relate to it. So, you can adopt other cultures that was here and stuff like that. I know one person who like thinks highly of Islam and stuff like that too. Cause like, yeah, but like to offer tobacco, you don't know what it's for.
mhm.
So
Do you think they're just filling a void that is missing? Do you think that could be what it is, or is it? Do you think
yeah,
it's just?
it fills the void.
Yeah. Because what, like when I learned the seven fires prophecy, I'll tell you how my story went for all of this. I went to this retreat up in the Algonquin Highlands, and it was a 10-day retreat. It just happened to fall around the last winter ceremony, and they gave us cannabis, and we had a firekeeper there, right? So we did holiotropic breathing, smoked a little bit of weed, listened to the drums, and I went deeper than I'd ever done. And I've done dimethyltryptamine before, and I went further into a trance or whatever you want to call that side than I've ever seen. And the firekeeper was in control of those kaleidoscopes. He was able to make them dance. And that's when I realized, like, the first thing I never realized it until this point was like the beadwork patterns that the cultures and the traditional patterns are. I was like, that's what you see on these trances. Like, it all just, and from that point forward, I'd sit out at night with the firekeeper and we would talk about the seven fires prophecy, and he taught me the tobacco ceremonies, and when you're closing out the fire and opening it up and the offering to like, we went through the whole thing, but outside of a sweat.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew that this stuff was real, and I didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And ever since that happened, I've been getting, because I made a promise. I gave him my coin. I made a promise that I would put this work forward, and you want to call it downloads or whatever. I talk about this a lot on this podcast. They're not visions, but knowings. And I just happen to know information and get, ever since that time, been on the same path. That's how I look like I've met you, like synchronicities and patterns, right? Like everything is falling into place.
Right. Yeah.
So it's hard because people think this is woo-woo witchcraft, or they're like I was, like, I'm still a Christian. I just don't know what to do about it, right? Like, but these things are real, and these prophecies are showing fruit. And how do you have these discussions with people? Again, like we're doing the work right now, but how do we do it amongst our people? My people don't give a shit and hear about it. They're too worried about, their job and taxes and all these other things. And on your side, some of them don't even remember it. So like, how do we carry this forward? I guess.
You can, yeah, you can like have an open mind, and it's just, it is what it is, like for us, like I said before, only a few of us follow the Great Spirit. So it's like, other people get lost in like colonization and what it brings and stuff. And like, that's the way it is. So it's like there's only a small group that'll pass on the teachings from one generation to another, which is how they've always been, always been orally through living your way of life with your connection with the land. Um, you know, and to be the only one out there is hard. And you have to, like they say, start with the young people and show them another way of life, that something is possible. My dad always brought me hunting and stuff like that, but he didn't know very much. It wasn't passed down to him and stuff like that, you know. Um, but we're trying, like we have, there's a lot of funding for it, a lot of people go on retreats, and, you know, uh, just, and there's programs even here in like cities and stuff, mostly in cities. It's hard on when you get to rural communities, um, where there isn't as much support, and there's people out there practicing and stuff, and other people that aren't, and people just don't, like I said, don't have time for it. They'd rather be watching Netflix or something, and like,
Yeah.
doing their job and stuff like that. And it's all colonization,
Well,
And
that's the other thing, right? If I go out and start talking about this and trying to raise awareness, I'm just going to get called somebody who's appropriating it, and I'm not native. How dare I talk about it, right? Unfortunately, that's how it is. But if you look at the old stories, all of those stories say it's my story too. So like, they don't know what they're arguing against to even be offended. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're in such a strange state of affairs right now. It's I don't know. Maybe that's why the veterans have. Maybe that's why the veterans have to do it, because normally veterans don't give a shit about what people think anymore, right? Maybe that's what it takes. You just have to be honest and authentic and not care what others think, and just go with the flow.
yeah, like putting yourself on the line, like,
Yeah.
it brings a different type of reality to you, uh, you can, and I do believe that, yeah, you can like see things a bit more clearly once like you see what matters and like what you're actually about, rather than people who just, do anything for money, and and pretty much oblivious to everything, their standard of living is everything. But it's going to be a wake up call because the Earth can't take much more than this. In the next 30 years, there's going to be some changes, and like it'll happen. And like.
Well, there's places we can't even sail to in the ocean because of the garbage patches, right? Like you're right. Like the world cannot sustain this any further. And it's like, how do we fix that? How do we clean that up? Do we quit all this stuff cold turkey, or do we use like the AI technology and live in harmony with it? Is there a way where there's both?
Yeah, AI has its own problems too. Like I said before, we're not going to have the same standard of living we're enjoying right now. And
no, especially people here in North America are going to be suffer the worst because the first world problems for the last forever. Like they don't know what it's like anywhere else, and it's going to get worse anywhere else. It's going to get worse here.
Yeah,
this place, people are going to go crazy.
Yeah, we talked about this. Like I have a degree in environmental studies, and so we talked about like what's going to happen, like with environmental degradation and like at the pace it keeps up. And like the southern countries, which are generally regarded as poor countries, are going to be rich, and it's going to be a major shift in wealth, because money won't mean anything as much if you can't buy what you want, right? Even AI, like with the amount of water it uses, is really a problem.
And they're going to want fresh water, so there goes the lakes.
Yeah,
and that's where I live. I live right off of Lake St. Clair, and like we have the largest freshwater reserve in the world. And every summer they're like, "Don't go in the water for E. coli." We're like, this is our world's reserve for fresh water. What are we doing? But yeah, like I hate to say like a greed bet, but like people are investing in gold. They're like, if you want to be greedy, you got to invest in water. Right, because that's what their wars are going to be over. That's exactly what's going to happen next. Like Trump's already talking about taking Greenland now, suddenly after what he did in Venezuela. Like 1984 dictated that, for 1984 type of scenario, like you track, trace, control, they have to have Oceania, the whole western end of the world.
Yeah, it's too bad, like the amount of pushback, but like segregation isn't even that old, when you come
well, we used to have a world. I truly think we used to have a world population or world faring colonies before, at some point before Columbus. Like the Egyptians are proof of that.
Oh yeah.
But
we know the Vikings came here.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. You never really got into that because I think that's what I tried to ask you earlier was, are these the people who are the people who came with friendship in the seventh fire prophecy? Are they the first ones to arrive?
No, they didn't come in friendship. They called us Skraelings or Scrays, which means Scrays, S-K-R-A-I, or Skraelings. And in English, that means wretched people, They came here after they, were dominating England and Great Britain.
So they would have come from the Newfoundland way and then down?
They came, like, they hit Iceland, they hit Greenland, they came, landed in Labrador, and settled. They settled all the way in Winnipeg. There's, like, on the prairies in Manitoba, a farmer came across a Viking village that was buried after he hit a rock. He started digging and he found a Viking village there, and all the markings and the masonry and stuff like that. But because we didn't get along and stuff like that, like they just consider us wretched people, and like, yeah.
You say they settled around Winnipeg, like in the prairies area, Central Prairies?
all through Canada, yeah.
That's weird because this is what I mentioned earlier. Down in the Dakotas, just south of the Winnipeg area, that's where the Mandan people are said to have lived as well, and they were said to have been pale-skinned natives. Yeah. So they could have been like the interbreeding.
I've heard about like even the Mohawk around here are blonde, blue-eyed as well. So we had a diverse mix of people. But the Vikings were all killed, and some of them escaped back to wherever they came from, Norway or whatever, or Europe. Yeah, they were all killed just because we didn't get along. There was no respect.
So they said, so it wasn't raiding parties. They just settled and then overstayed their welcome, kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy. Is there anywhere that we can, because mainstream education doesn't tell you any of this crap either. Like, where could I find that just to have a look, like specifically for Winnipeg, because that does line up. Sorry,
the CBC archives. They used to show like little vignettes on television, and yeah, they used to talk. They used to have that one reenactment of the farmer finding a huge rock in his field when he was plowing, so he started digging it up and found a Viking village here. Yeah, you'd probably have to go government archives and search for it like that.
Probably cbcarchives.gov or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting, because it's like literally a couple days ago, my flag of the nation, or not my flag, my map of all the nations came in, of where everyone had settled, and it was funny. I found the Mandan right there, exactly where you had said this, and I was like, that's crazy if that's true. Because last season I interviewed somebody who was telling me the same thing. They mentioned there was a tribe of light-skinned natives and blah blah blah, and I was just like, okay, what's the connection here? Like that's somebody met somebody, this, and that's what I assumed. Maybe these were the ones that came with friendship at some point.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, because like even on my reserve, I remember there's this one guy a few years older than me. He was red-haired and blue-eyed and stuff like that, but he was native.
yeah, but so that's the other thing. Could be a genetic trait. Like, a lot of people say that this is a mutation. Like,
some people have very dark skin, others lighter skin and stuff like that. Like a few people have really dark skin and stuff. And in the Caribbean region, the natives down there, they're very dark, but they have blonde hair and stuff like that, curly hair, but they're native as well. I don't know the name of their tribe, but yeah, you talk to some people from Caribbean, and they'll know who you're talking about if you ask about the natives around there. Yeah, and yeah, so we have a diverse mix of people here.
That's funny, because like going back further, it's just like it depends. I guess it depends on what kind of bullshit you want to pull yourself into for fun or not. But like going even to the Atlantis story, right? It's like there's some credence there. There's credence there, because the Turtle Island story is like, well, where were they coming from before Turtle Island, right? And a lot of these things kind of intertwine, because even there's a deluge story here as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's, a lot of people don't realize, I think it's a localized flood somewhere in like the Middle East, when this was like a national thing, and all of these old stories come together. Like the Dogon in Africa speak of the Seven Sisters constellation, as the Algonquin speak of and the Hopi speak of, and there's definitely a world connection here that we've been kept from.
Oh, we traveled, we like the river systems are vast and stuff like that, and to trade and stuff like that, we went pretty far, and things travel very fast, but it is like to get lost in the mystery of all things, like that's why we call it the great mystery, because you can get lost in it for like
you might never come out.
Yeah, it's all a mystery, it's like never be solved. It's beyond our comprehension as people, too many times people think that like humans are omnipotent, omniscient, and they know everything, nothing beyond our understanding. But it's beyond our understanding. So it's like, it's a great mystery, and that's what we talk about sometimes, what the great mystery will let you know and stuff like that.
What is the 8 fire supposed to bring if everything goes well? What is
right and forever, like there won't be any more changes after that, and you'll know a lot, like you'll see things clearly. There won't be very much confusion in things. Right now, people are confused. Some claim global warming isn't happening and stuff like that. A lot of people are confused. But 30 years from now, with the way the weather is, and more people are being concerned and educating themselves. So that's what it's going to be about.
Well, the aurora activity alone is proof something's off, right? Like I'm down here near Detroit. We don't get northern lights down here. We've been getting them. Like, it's unheard of for them to come down this low, and we're getting nailed with them. Like, guys, there's no hiding something's going on, and people just want to put their heads in the sand, and hopefully the government's gonna fix the problem. Like, we all know the government's not gonna. I worked for the government; they're not fixing nothing. Right?
Yeah.
We gotta wake up. Now the question is, what does that mean? Like, do we stop driving cars overnight? Like, like,
Yeah.
it's like, how do you do this quickly and without riot? Because our own worst enemy is just going to be people. It's going to be the people who are greedy and scared and can't live off of, haven't done their 6 months worth of provisions. Like, they're going to be they talk about the zombie apocalypse. Those are zombies. That's what we have to worry about.
Yeah.
But when that dust settles, like, how do we? Because it's going to happen. Something big is on the verge. It's just a matter of what's going to trigger it. Everybody I've talked to feels it, no matter what culture, country that they've been in. A lot of people feel like there's not much time left. So, the only thing that's still legal to do is talk on the internet, and that might not be legal much longer. So it's kind of like, I guess this is what we're supposed to do, build these communities and talk, and hopefully if one person wakes up, maybe that might be the person make a change in their community, right? Like, that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Because realistically, what else can we do right now? Like, we can't take up arms against anybody. Like, it'd be foolish to do so. Like, what do? You just wait it out and make the decision. Like, I don't think we have time. Like 2030, I think that's when people are going to be out of work. I think that's when UBI is going to kick off, and a lot of people are going to think that's a great thing. That's how they're going to sell it. It's going to be a great thing. You're going to have, if you want to make more, you can do something else, but you're guaranteed this.
Yeah.
And then what is that going to do?
Like, I probably won't see it in my lifetime, and a lot of I heard this university asking an economist what he thinks. And it's like, he just say, I don't care because I'll be dead by then, But
and that's the mentality that we're stuck with. That is the mentality all of the elders in my generation and before have had. Not my problem. You're the reason we're in this situation. And they won't have that. It's such a terrible way to look at things.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately the educators that we have. I can't believe that sorry, that just bothers me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but that's the hard truth, like our society right now.
Because nobody cares. There's no passion behind any work. Everyone wants to work for what makes the most amount of money, not to follow their heart. Like, there's no teachers that teach. I used to be a fireman, right? People don't want to be a fireman because it's selfless act. No, they want to make a decent wage and sleep and drive around in big red trucks. It's not a selfless act anymore.
Yeah.
It's everyone wants clout and no substance, and it's just, how do we live in this world with that? A lot of people are getting hurt.
Like, for me, like, it's different. I come from a different culture than you, like being native and stuff, and having, like, there's a lot of drug use and crime, and like staying away from that sometimes seems unbearable, because that's pretty much everyone you know. So, I like follow the Great Spirit and talk to like elders when I can, and try to find some people who are open to that way of thinking rather than just immediate gains, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I talked to some other people, and yeah, they're like, I mentioned that and like their view on society and stuff, just unwilling to accept that, the pollution and global warming and everything. But there'll be a time, like uh, when they can't ignore it anymore. Like 30 years of global warming, how like 40-degree heat waves and stuff, 50 degree, and like it's getting worse. Like people will have to. They'll have to because like they'll have to care because they won't be dead by the time it happens. They'll be living.
Mm.
It'll be happening to them as we speak, and they
Why
will
do you
have.
think why do you think the government's hiding this and not fixing it? Do you think they are trying to cull us? Do you
Yeah,
think they're trying to get rid of us? Like, what is the end game here? That's the question. That to me is the great mystery. Why are we doing this to ourselves? What the fuck is going on?
politicians are the same as everybody else. They have the power, but like they're mandated by the people, and the people aren't willing to accept it yet. There's a lot of confusion, and but once they will be alive, when shit starts to hit the fan, so to speak. Excuse my language.
You
It's
can swear, go for it. I do.
yeah, but like, um, it's going to change because like it won't, and they'll hate the previous generations because they did nothing to stop it. And oil, coal mines are opening every day. You know, uh, millions of barrels of oil are being bottled every day and stuff like that. And, like
How do you get the chiefs to come together on this stuff and not be co-opted by the government? How do you do that?
and the Chiefs are a product of colonization as well. Like
Yeah.
the Ojibwe rule themselves with the clan mother being the head of society, and it wasn't chiefs or anything like that. It was the clan mother, like your grandmother, whatever, um, or your adopted clan or whatever. Um, so like a lot of people are going to realize that, like, and there are people. It's starting to come out now that, like, we have to develop our own self-governance system, right? And chiefs can't be a part of that. Chief and council can't be a part of that because it's just it's more colonization than anything. You know, on my reserve, they developed a working document called Depwelin, which means the truth, and it doesn't have chiefs in there. It has men's councils, women's councils, uh, elders council, and youth council to govern our reserve, which seems to make a lot more sense. The chiefs right now are just the people that did well in like school and learning colonization, who excelled in the colonization aspect, of like our life, and that's who they are. That's how they made their money. That's what they're all about. So I don't put very much.
It would make more sense to have one of your fire keepers or medicine men as your elder. That's what makes the most sense to me, not some kid that went to university. I don't care what culture you are. University is a fucking brainwash. It's like, so like that it should be the fire keepers, the whole the wampum, like the wampum holders especially. Like where are these people? What are they saying? Like why aren't they being heard?
Oh, they're out there. Some of them do things for money, so you might hear about them. Otherwise, most people just, you know, mind their own business, stay on the reserve or wherever, and just, take care of their family, right? So that's what they're doing. They're not, they're trying to keep their kids off drugs. They're trying to, like, and they have to remember the ceremonies, only when times, and like, it's very controversial because, a lot of people like what I was taught, and a lot of people believe that we should make money off of culture, and but that's the only way it seems like you find people reaching out is because they're getting paid and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
and then you get cults develop from those types of individuals. Yep, and then it just snowballs.
Mhm.
Well, I could see the retreat system having it like what I did. I could see that having its benefits for sure for making money, but at the end of the day, the focus has to be on the care. Everything else, like, it's just not. It just doesn't seem. You're correct. It doesn't sit right at all. But at the same time, it's like, even if you have to make a little bit of money on it, what's more important is the message still getting out there, right? Like that's between them and the creator on the other side, but at the same time, they're still getting the word out. So it's kind of like the lesser of two evils in a sense at the same time. Like I met this young man at powwow last year. I don't have the book on me. But he wrote the Mishomi's book. His grandfather wrote the Mishomi's book.
Oh, Edward Benton Benazzi is his name.
Yeah, Benton.
Benazzi, yeah.
And I have his grandson on my Facebook. He's in Minnesota. Like, these are the things, like, I wish I saw a lot of these more, but maybe more professional books, or I would, you know what I need? I would love to see one, like, firekeepers doing more podcasts and getting this out. This is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
But again, like, are you worthy of this? Some secrets can't be. I understand all of these other things as well, but there are definitely things that can be shared. Like, I know that to be true. Like, and that's the thing with drugs too, right? Like, maybe, like, the afflictions I know are really bad because they're bad everywhere, and I know how bad it is in the communities. Why is it that maybe? Because you would know this as well, like when you go into a sweat or anything else, like, going into that place is almost the same place you go on other substances anyways. So why aren't people doing that more and accepting that? Like, are they just trying to live in that place all the time, or is it?
Well, it's because of colonization, because it was taken away from us, right? We used to do drugs, right? Culturally, we did drugs, but it was more of a religious thing. It was regarded as religion. We had bird bones were made sharp, and a leather sack with the potion held in the leather sack, and it was attached to the bird bone. And we used to stab it into people's shoulder, and then squeeze the leather sack, which acted like as a needle, and so like the drugs would enter our circulatory system and our muscular system, and give people religious experiences and stuff like that. That's been erased. That was one of the things they did in the government's policy of genocide. To erase that part of the culture. They didn't want that, so that has been effectively destroyed.
And now they're bringing it back, using it for PTSD treatment. That's insane.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and but it used to be a religious thing more than anything, and but very few people I know talk about that. But it used to be there. We have the Native American church, with peyote and stuff like that. They might know a bit more about that, but because of their work, they have to remain underground, right? Otherwise, face prosecution for drug dealing or whatever. So they can't really be open about that, and that's where we have a lot of secrets come out too.
Well, that's going on right now with the DMT trials that they're doing in the United States. Like, they're all proving it to be the same shit, the same place you go on peyote, mushroom. The dosage doesn't even matter, and they're using ketamine for it right now in Canada for PTSD treatment. Right, like, for me, I went up to a retreat, I did the breath work, and I got there with marijuana. Like, I didn't need anything more than marijuana, but it's the same place. They should be utilizing you guys now, and introducing it back, and not. But again, like, it's a distraction, right? Like, they're talking about aliens in the government now. Like, like, what's the next pull from under our rug, right? Like,
well, there's the Tiwa in New Mexico. They believe in aliens, and they believe aliens visit them. They have sacred sites actually where
Well, the
They,
Hopi's Kachina prophecy just happened. If you look at it, Three Eye Atlas is the blue star that arrives at the end, and shortly thereafter they say that the Sky People return. So yeah, there's a lot to these things.
there's a lot of different faiths, and yeah, just because we were like we never went to war over like religion or eradicate some religion to control a population. No, that's foreign to Native people. I think just Europeans practice that, right? And because Africa wasn't like that either until the slave trade started, and then that came chaos, whatever. The stealing of books and literature from Africa and adopting it into European culture
Hmm.
and changing it to like suit the European view of life. And just remember, Christianity wasn't even a major religion until what, the 7th century, sixth
Yeah,
century.
something like that.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, like
But before then, it was Judaism, the Babylonians, and the Sumerians for the most part down there with the Muslims. It's like it
Paulo.
just war and Greek. Yeah, Greek came after and that was another adopted story, and you can trace it back. Yep, there's a lot of people don't know where the hell they're from. Like, it's not just Africans. Like a lot of colonial, we don't know where the hell we're from. Like, and then you throw this whole Tartarian nonsense in the mix of it, and you're like, okay, like I don't even want to read history anymore because they're changing it in front of us as we go. So it's like it's a lot. Like these conversations are heavy to have, and unfortunately, like a lot of the people who give you the pushback, if you ask them to dig a little bit deeper or throw something at them, then they'll start calling you names, and then you're like, aha, you only knew surface level stuff. You have nothing to give but anger. And these are the people who are unfortunately, are the loudest voices right now, and it's scary. It's every time I go on some of the even some of the native sites, the like the Anishinaabe page or the groups or whatever. The same with up north when I go on there, the old buy and sell page. It's nothing but just throwing out people's personal laundry on a web page. It's like nobody wants to help each other. It's just stab, 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 stab. I'm like, holy shit, guys! Like, we're not gonna get anywhere if people are like this.
Yeah.
And
But
it's just
unfortunately, that's the state of Native people, like
it's no better here. It's just a bunch of self-righteous Karens over here that think they know better. It's the same shit.
yeah. And it's like, it is what it is, like problems will be problems, and I can't stress anymore, like disease and stuff in the first 5 years of contact, um, it really messed up a lot of people,
And that came east to west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. More
What's
so
so,
than anything else, yeah.
I wanted to ask you because I know it's getting close.
Yeah.
I think you said you have to go at noon.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get this out there then, since we're talking about that pathway from east to west. What is the significance of Lake of the Woods? All of my visions have been kind of pointing towards it. I've worked out with AI, and I've even looked at the density maps. Like even with how the U.S. border conveniently, that's the weirdest border in all of North America, going up and down. How sacred is that site going to be for the end? And I think that's more sacred than people give it credit for.
Well, I don't know too much about Lake of the Woods, but I do know in the White Shell in Manitoba, which is close to Kenora. It's on your way to Kenora, whatever. Yeah, there are petroglyphs there, and
Yep.
so they're rocks placed in like circles in shape of turtles, shape of snakes, and they've been there for a long time. People go there. It's a religious site. People go there, hang flags. They go to pray there. And it's right. It's in the White Shell by Star Lake. It's on that trail. And
Did you say White Star Lake?
no, just Star Lake in the White Shell region.
Star Lake.
Yeah, but there are petroglyphs there. Just go look on Parks Canada. Like you might find them.
Have you seen the Peterborough petroglyphs?
No, I haven't heard about those ones.
I'll bring that up for you right now. Yeah, so the Peterborough petroglyphs is interesting. There's a lot of nanabush on there.
Yeah, it's all Ojibwe.
And I think it's the Great Spirit. It's almost the same logo that APTN uses. Sorry, I got a big folder here with this stuff in it. And it's funny too, actually, some of the petroglyphs do have a reminiscent of Tiamat from Babylonian, which is neat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see if this comes up.
Yeah, that's the great mystery, because they have like carvings in pyramids in Mexico that are the same as carvings in pyramids in, Egypt. It's all the great mystery, You'll never know why exactly. You won't find hard, concrete proof telling you what happened or whatever. It's all the great mystery, It's things beyond our understanding.
But everything seems to connect and line up like we were all one once. It's very cool to see it.
Yeah.
I hope we find out. I hope the mystery in that regard gets busted down a little bit. But that's just my hopeful self speaking.
Well, so the great mystery reveals itself as the petals of a flower does. So,
as they fall, you find them, right?
Petals of a flower. So yeah, well, those are very nice,
So these are the Peterborough petroglyphs here.
Yeah.
And are these similar to the ones that you're speaking of as well?
No, in the white shell, they're rocks. They're
rocks.
Oh,
like they're stacked.
Not stacked, like on the ground.
Oh, like mounds, kind of like the.
They're not one on top of the other. There's only one, and then like on the ground, there'd be one next to it and one next to it.
Okay, so almost like kind of like how the Nazca, like you'd see it from up top. You wouldn't see it from a natural. You'd see it from above, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's Star Lake.
It's close to Star Lake. It's on the same trail.
Make sure I checked it out.
Provincial Park.
That's going to be cool because we're actually going to be doing an excursion out to Lake of the Woods probably middle of this year. So if that's close, we can probably check that out as well. Like we just want to go and check this stuff out and just have our own photos and do our own stuff because that's the other thing I like to do with this podcast here. Like we don't just look at stuff on Google. Like we have the conversations and do the work, which is what most people don't. Right. So it's, I like to keep my credibility at least that way. All right, my man. You know what? I think I'll let you go. Unless there's anything else you want to add. This was a great conversation, man. Like, I got a lot out of this, and I definitely would like to have you come back more often if you're willing to, and we can break these things down further. This was an awesome conversation. I'm just happy that you were willing to have it.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And is there anywhere people can find you or find your work if they want to know more?
They can Facebook me, whatever. You can put my name up if you want.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Ira, and everyone else. You know what to do: like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you share this out there. And we'll be talking to you. Thank you. Cheers.
Have a nice day.
Miigwech.